And welcome to Prescott Valley Public Library Adult Services presentation of Ghost Stories of Prescott. My name is Deborah Fingston, and I thank you for joining us and on our new technology platform. Again, be patient. I'm not a pro. Are you a pro?
No.
No. Okay. So I would like to introduce our guest speaker. His name's Cody Drake. A good friend, and we've had him before. He is the Arizona treasure hunter, but I'll let Cody introduce himself, and may I say, happy Halloween. Go for it.
Thank you, Deborah. So, hi everybody. Like Deborah said, my name's Cody Drake. I'm also the Arizona treasure hunter, and I'm sponsored by White's Metal Detectors, Calico Metal Detectors, and I'm partnered with Bonehouse Brewery. And when I'm not treasure hunting or out exploring our southwestern desert, I'm leading ghost tours in Jerome, Arizona for Ghost Town Tours. So I get to ghost hunt all the time. Now, today I'll be talking about some ghost stories of Prescott, and I'll be sharing a couple ghost stories that I've experienced myself. So let's get started. In the beginning, Prescott was founded, or the gold which led to Prescott's founding was found during the American Civil War by Joseph Rutherford Walker. This handsome devil right here. They didn't have deodorant back then, but you can't get that from the picture. So Prescott's gold rush was discovered during the American Civil War in 1863. That's when Captain Joseph Rutherford Walker led a party up the Bradshaw Mountains. There was a party with them, other mountain men, there were soldiers, they were looking for gold deposits, silver deposits, copper deposits, and when they came upon Lynx Creek specifically, it's a 16-mile stretch of creek which is gold bearing. They were pulling up nuggets, they had some fine gold, and a year later, Prescott became the territorial capital of Arizona. And this was the original courthouse building. Looks much different than the one today. So, and if you don't know, underneath Prescott, downtown Prescott, like Whiskey Row, there are tunnels. Underneath the courthouse capitol building there are entrances into the tunnels. I know. Unless you know somebody in there, you can probably go to the surrounding businesses, maybe get permission to go in. I know the tunnels are there. Now, when gold was discovered along Lynx Creek, we'll go to... No, I don't want that. This is why I practiced. Okay, we'll go to Lynx Creek. Now, if you go down Walker Road over by Costco and PetSmart, you just travel south. Once you hit Baney Mine Road, that's one of the best places to go explore Lynx Creek. You could go to Lynx Lake, and Lynx Creek does flow into Lynx Lake. And there's gold all over that area, all over the area. It's small nuggets, you can find flour gold there. Here's some old pictures of prospectors in Lynx Creek. What they're using is a long tom, which is kind of like a long sluice box, and they have a gold pan. Now here, they're hydraulic mining. This is high-pressured water, kind of like firefighter water hoses that are aimed at the hillsides, and they just erode all of that debris, and they recovered a lot of gold that way, but they also destroyed the environment too. So hydraulic mining is illegal now. But Lynx Creek, like I said, is 16 miles of great gold-bearing area. Now, you can still prospect today along Lynx Creek, especially along Baney Mine Road. It's recreational gold prospecting. You can go out there with pans and screens. You can't use machinery, you can't use sluice boxes, but you can do it. And if you camp out there, it is haunted. So one of my ghost stories I'll be talking about is along Lynx Creek, specifically down Baney Mine Road. And this gentleman here, this was taken in Prescott. Yavapai County, Arizona challenges the world for the oldest active prospector. And this is that gentleman, Ed McLeany. 101 years old, prospecting in Arizona since 1882. And yeah, so a lot of people don't know about this gentleman. And I believe he's actually in the Prescott Ghost Talks that go on every October. So if you wanted to check out his story, you should probably go check out Prescott Ghost Talks. It's also on October 30th. So, now, Lynx Creek isn't the only haunted place. Rose Creek is also a very haunted area. And then you also have Palace Station. Palace Station is right off of Old Senator Highway. It's kind of like a narrow pass through the area. It was an old stagecoach stop. There was a little town there for a while. It had its own cemetery. And among some of the prospectors, it's known as Crying Creek because you can hear a baby crying in that creek at night. So my father, who was really, really successful prospector, he was kind of like the gold nugget wizard. He would not camp at Palace Station. He never would. The one night we tried, we could hear the baby crying in the creek, and I was 10 years old. And he went down to the creek, and he said, "Okay, son, we're going to Wolf Creek." And we packed everything up in the middle of the night, and we went to Wolf Creek, about 15 miles away. But around the Prescott area, not so far from where we are right now, is the Hacienda Inn. This is one of the most beautiful hotels in the Prescott Square area. So this is the lobby, and this was the picture, I think, during Prohibition. And you can actually take this picture and just compare how much the trees have grown, the different cars. It's really neat. Construction was finished in 1927. The most haunted room is room 426. I think it's known as the suite, the bridal suite. Now, I think every room is haunted and every floor is haunted, but the most haunted room is room 426. The story is that Faith Summers, she just got married, and her much older husband said that he was going to go out for a pack of cigarettes, but he never came back. And so Faith Summers took their cat, put it in a closet for some reason, and the cat died. And then Faith Summers committed suicide because she felt like her husband, who they just got married, was never coming back, that he just bailed on her. And as far as I know, he was killed in an unrelated incident without her knowing, the very day that he went out to go get cigarettes. So about 4 days later, she committed suicide in that room. And it's very active. If you call the Hacienda Inn and ask for the most haunted room, they'll tell you 426, hands down. And I don't think there's a wait for room 426. So hop on board with that. Also, the lobby is haunted. You'll hear people talking in the corner and there's nobody there. Or you'll be sitting down reading or on your cell phone and you'll feel somebody come up behind one of the chairs and like look over to see what you're doing. Sometimes people feel tapping on their shoulders, or if you had keys dangling from your belt loops, sometimes you can feel that having a little tug, kind of like, what's this? So, Hacienda Inn. Check it out. If you dare. No. This is why I'm not a scientist. I'm not good with technology. I'm good with exploring the hidden deserts. So, personal ghost stories. I'll start off. I don't have a slide for Watson Lake, but I will tell you that around the first boat ramp you come to, not the large boat ramp, but the one within the granite, that was the original swimming hole for Watson Lake when it was first opened up. And so there were several drownings there in the beginning. And so when there's no one there at night and you're walking the trails and you're just hanging out enjoying like the moonlit night, you can hear people swimming, but you don't see the water splashing. So, Watson Lake, don't rule that one out. So, haunted gold mine in Crying Creek. Crying Creek is Palace Station. Yep, check out Palace Station. Now, at Palace Station, there's a lot of private prospecting claims that you could pull off at. You can camp there by all means. As long as you're not prospecting on someone else's claim, you're good. You can camp there all you want to. Nothing can stop you doing that. But this is my favorite ghost story. And this is down Baney Mine Road, which is off of Walker Road, and this is along Lynx Creek. This specific mining tunnel was mined by the Chinese in the 1800s. Now, I've been in this gold mine hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times, and I'm still going to be going in it hundreds of times. My name is carved in the very back of this tunnel. I think I carved it in 1997. It says Cody 1997. And I went inside of here not long ago, and I had a flashlight, I had a headlamp, I had my backpack filled with mining equipment because I was going to break some debris off the walls, take it home, crush it, pan it out to see just what I could find in the rock, like I do all the time. So I went into the tunnel. You have to kind of like crawl down a little bit, and then it opens up so you can stand up freely. I walk in about 100 feet. My flashlight slowly dims, and then it dies. I stop. I put the flashlight in my bag. I take out the headlamp, put the headlamp on, and then I walk about another 100 feet, maybe 150 feet. Then the headlamp slowly dims, and then it dies. And at that moment, I'm rethinking my life choices. I take off the headlamp, put it in my bag in the dark, put my pack on. I take out my digital camera because my phone was charging in my Tacoma at the time. And I put my left hand on the wall, and I'm using the flash, holding the camera above my head, and I'm taking pictures of the tunnel ahead of me. And then I advance. I walk, feeling my way along the walls, and I stop where I believe, in my mind, the flash had ended. And then I take another picture. And I do this for about a half an hour, probably going about 400 feet or so. And I get to the end of this tunnel, and in the dark, I set up a tripod, just feeling my way around, and I set up the digital camera on a setting where it takes 3 pictures per second, like a shutter kind of setting. And that's the only light I have. So, with my little crowbar, I'm sitting there busting debris off the walls so it falls on the ground, and I'll collect it all at the very ends, take it home, crush it up, pan it out to find out if that tunnel is still gold producing. So the digital camera dies after just a few minutes, and then I'm alone in the dark completely. So I gather up what debris I could find, put it in my bag, and I just feel my way out along the walls again. Now in this mine, you could hear 2 men talking at the entrance. There was one person saying 2 syllables, and another gentleman, which sounded older or with a deeper voice, saying like 6 or 10 syllables, like he was scolding someone. And I thought to myself, well, I'm going to come out of the dark at these guys. They're probably going to shoot me. I didn't run into anybody. And when I got to the outside, I couldn't see tracks of anybody else. It was just my tracks. And when I got home, I crushed all the ore, I panned it out, everything went according to plan, and then I started deleting all of the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pictures I took just using the flash of the digital camera. Now, aside from the pictures of me in front of the camera just busting off ore from the rock wall, there was only one picture that was different, and that is this one. You can see the iron right here. You can see the calcium deposits from being left abandoned for over 100 years and the water seeping down. But this right here is the only thing different out of all those hundreds of pictures. It was about almost 2,000 pictures I took. That's the only thing that's different. And I'll go back. So most of the pictures look like this. And this one, this is iron right here. This is all iron. And you can see the calcium right here. The green is chrysocolla, malachite, which indicates copper, because every gold, silver mine also has copper. If you have a gold mine, you'll find silver and copper. If you have a copper mine, you'll find silver and gold. And yeah, so the color of iron, calcium, this was the only one that was different. So what do you think?
Creepy. That's what I think.
Creepy.
Yes, I'm still in the room. It's creepy.
Yes, and the thing is, this is the end of the tunnel. This is where I was working. When this picture was taken, I had no idea that was there because I'm holding it above my head. I didn't know this until I got home. And when I was deleting stuff, one by one by one by one, I stopped and I inhaled very loudly. Like, so this is my only legitimate ghost picture I've ever captured. And I didn't even know I captured it until I got home. So if you go to haunted locations like Lynx Creek, the Hacienda Inn, if you go to the St. Michael's Hotel at the square also, take pictures, take video, because you never know what you're going to catch. If you don't take pictures, you're not going to catch anything. So take pictures as much as you can. But these are just some stories and examples of Prescott Ghost Stories, but there's so much more around here. The Yavapai Apache were here. I'm sorry, what?
I was going to say, share some from Jerome too, because I know you do that.
Okay. Okay, so I'm the head tour guide of Ghost Town Tours in Jerome, Arizona, and Jerome was founded in 1876 when the first mining claims were exploited. The mining claims were discovered when Prescott became the first territorial capital in 1864. So Jerome was kind of like, always competing with Prescott. Always competing. But the Jerome Mining District, the United Verde Copper Company, valued equipment over human life. So if they lost a valuable piece of equipment, that was a big no-no. Some of the equipment cost $100,000 back then and took a year to get there. If they lost employees in the mines, they could hire a brand new starting miner the very next day. So, everyone knows the Jerome Grand Hotel. It was opened 1927, ran until 1953, and around 12,000 people died in that hospital, but they didn't report every death. The third hospital, because there was 4 hospitals total, the Grand Hotel was the 4th hospital. The third hospital, which is now an apartment building, opened its doors in 1917, ran until 1926, and 9,000 people died in that hospital. So if you have dreams of living in an old haunted hospital, the UVX hospital, or the UVX apartment building, that's actually called the UVX Clubhouse. Now it's an apartment building. You can live there. Even the morgue is available, I think. But Jerome lost around 70,000 miners in 70 years. So the cemetery only has about 209 graves in it. So, doesn't add up, does it?
What is your favorite ghost in Jerome?
My favorite ghost in Jerome would have to be... There's a little girl who lurks in the auditorium of the old high school. And every time I would take ghost tours inside of the the last graduating class was 1972. And because of COVID-19, there's no more ghost tours inside of the high school. We go to the haunted cemetery, which is also known as the Hogback Cemetery. But when COVID-19 is over with, we'll go back inside the high school. But the high school auditorium is pretty much abandoned since the last graduating class. The gymnasium is the auditorium, basketball court, the theater, and the silent picture movie theater. So even the old wooden mahogany chairs from circa 1922 are still there. There's the boys' locker room, girls' locker room, and the basement. Now, whenever I do the Facebook Lives alone in these haunted locations, I would pick up figures on the SLS camera through the spirit box, get responses, I'll hear my name, I'll play Marco Polo alone in the dark with these ghosts. It's pretty entertaining. And one time when I ended one of the Facebook Lives back in January of this year, I remember saying, thanks for tuning in, everybody. Have a good night. And on behalf of Ghost Town Tours, like Happy New Year, something like that. I ended it, and I remember saying out loud, oh, it's over. And from the balcony of the movie theater in there, right next to the projector room, you can hear, hi, Cody. And my blood went cold. I kind of froze. I remember saying, really? You couldn't do that 7 minutes ago? Like live on camera? But sometimes when I'm down in the basement with groups, I would feel like a little hand like holding mine. And when she said that, it sounded like a little girl, like maybe 6 or 10 years old. So I've got a little friend in the high school.
And you do ghost tours, Montezuma Castle, you said, Old Cottonwood?
Yes, we just bought a new location in Old Town Cottonwood, and we're expanding. We're not only going to be doing just Jerome ghost hunting anymore. We're going to be doing ghost tours and history tours of Cottonwood, Clarkdale, still Jerome, Sedona, Camp Verde, Rimrock, and Montezuma's Castle. So we're all over the Verde Valley, coming soon. As soon as the building's ready, we'll be launching from that main hub all over the Verde Valley.
So can you share one more ghost story from the area?
I can. Let me see. So from the Prescott area, there's a place called Wolf Creek. And this has been mined. It's behind Mare. Pretty much, it's right in the middle of Prescott and Mare in the Bradshaw Mountains. There was, I think the last death there was in 2006. There was a man with a road grader, and he lost control, and it went over the embankment, and he was crushed to death out there. But the deaths in that area go back to the 1870s when the prospectors were really up in those mountains. The U.S. Army was chasing Yavapai Apaches down back there, and they came upon a place called Dead Mule Creek. Now, they found that a bunch of prospectors had been killed by this group who had went through the area, the Yavapai Apache. And they saw that the prospectors, the Apache came through, they took their livestock, they left their horses, the used ones, they grabbed the prospectors' horses, and they kept going. They kept going. The U.S. Army had to stop. Their horses were done in. They didn't have fresh horses. So, this is also a lost treasure story. Around Wolf Creek, which they believe it's Wolf Creek, they saw that there was gold around there, and so some of the soldiers filled up their pockets, and then when the horses were watered, they took them down the trail again. Now, years later, somebody came by the area, they found the bodies still there because the soldiers didn't have time to bury anybody. They camped there, and then they kept hearing what sounded like somebody calling their name, and so they left. That was the last time anybody has been around this Dead Mule Creek. So, around Wolf Creek at night, you can hear people talking up and down creek, but if you walk up and down creek, there's never anybody there. There's no reflection of any lights from campfires either. You'll also hear horses running through the area. So that lost treasure story and what goes on at Wolf Creek kind of just walk hand in hand. But we won't know unless somebody finds the area where those prospectors were killed. The soldiers could only take a little bit because they had to stay light and mobile because they were chasing down the Yavapai. So, that gold's still out there, and that haunted spot's still out there. But all of Wolf Creek is like that. Even when the water's not flowing, you can still hear people talking up creek and down creek. And that's right off. It's just about, I think, 6 miles east of Old Senator Highway. So if you're traveling from Prescott to Crown King, once you get along Turkey Creek, there's a junction road which heads south. It's a Forest Service road. I can't remember the name of it or the number of it, but that takes you to Wolf Creek. And that's probably one of the more haunted creeks aside from Palace Station around the area.
And Palace Station is where that you hear
the baby crying in the creek.
Oh, that's awful.
Mm-hmm. That's awful. And along Palace Station, you can see remnants of mining operations going back into the early 1900s, where you can see where the roads used to be, but there's trees around like this wide growing in the middle of the road.
So it's like they're trying to stop you from going in there.
I think it's just been so abandoned, nature's just taken it back.
Yeah. Oh, Cody. Now, you said that you did Facebook Lives sometimes. How would our viewers be able to maybe see you do a Facebook Live?
So for the Facebook Lives, go on Facebook to the search engine and type in Ghost Town Tours and just like the page. And every Friday at 7 p.m., you'll get a notification that we're live on Ghost Town Tours. And you'll see me ghost hunting in some haunted location all alone. You get to see me get scared.
And you will never see me on Facebook Live with Cody doing ghost tours. Maybe treasure hunting, but you will never see me do ghost tours.
Okay. At least we got treasure hunting.
Yes, yes. So I hope this wet your whistle for tomorrow for Halloween. Thank you so much, Cody. This was an awesome ghost tease. And I hope that you've enjoyed. Thank you again so much for viewing Prescott Valley Public Library's Ghost Stories of Prescott, Jerome, and Cody. All right.
Awesome.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Deborah.